Hello, Renee Flamont here. This is another one of those little things that I started to look at in a new way that helped me. So I thought I'd share it with you because they seem to help many of you. So one of the things I started to think about is in the world of people that we know, there are narcissists afoot, right? Whether or not you readily recognize them or not may not even really matter because you may not be in a position for them to inflict any harm on you. Say if it's like a coworker, they could inflict harm, but you may not be in the immediate position of their shrapnel, friend, relative, coworker, unless it's really like in this partner situation. Or you may have had an encounter with a relative that can leave some shrapnel. And don't get me wrong, a business partner can do a lot of damage to somebody if they're a narcissist. But in this world of encountering all different people, the narcissist comes in all forms, as we've discussed. And we tend to concentrate on their deplorable qualities because that's what we end up seeing from our end of a romantic entanglement. On the flip side, there could be a very well-skilled narcissist who is congenial, successful, magnanimous, brilliant, the same charm that you experience with yours. Only they're doing it being all of those positive things, all the while being manipulative and cunning and duplicitous and conniving. Sometimes our narcissists, they can come off a little crass. And I say ours as if yours may have been one of the people I just mentioned. They might be better at all of it. And if we pay attention, we can spot the narcissist, is my point. Even if they're not romantically entangled, and we don't have to wait to get devalued by a narcissist in a romantic way to recognize that they're around. And there are some things I wanted to mention that help me realize we look at, okay, let me back up a second because I'm all over the place. Their behavior manifests itself in the workplace if it isn't romantically where they can get you. Oftentimes it is the workplace where it might manifest itself or show its ugly face or rear its ugly head. And that's because that's where we know people. That's where we meet people in adulthood. That's the adult's playground, right? So if the narcissist feels like having to go through his cycle, he has to get that out somehow. Maybe he doesn't have a relationship. But in the workplace, you're meeting people. Now you can tell. You have to, when you work in an environment that's collective, you have to interact, share tasks, have group efforts, share credit, share blame. None of that sits well with the narcissist, and you're going to be able to tell if somebody's uncomfortable, or if somebody's having a hard time, or if somebody's stepping over you to get somewhere. That'll be shrapnel you'll feel. But you may not be. You might be removed, and there might be somebody in the corporation high up, and there's stories and tales of how they got there, and they stepped over this one, and that could be what we're dealing with in that case. How can anyone do anything like that without any guilt? You have to have a certain amount of zero guilt to be able to step over people in corporate America to get up the ladder and not be cooperative and not share tasks and not be able to work in groups and not be appreciative and give you credit when deserved and all of those kinds of things. That might be a narcissist, but they might be really good at it and just be charming all the time. Really clever, but you might know it, somebody else might know, but they're really clever. Many times the form that they come in is not as clever, and they are loud, boisterous, big, brag, very uncomfortable with another person's success because it makes them feel awkward. They'll try to keep the conversation about them, or better, around them, but not too much, not too deep. Just enough where they're holding court, making you laugh, thinking they're winning, but not giving away too much so that the surrounding folk catch on. They might be, as far as the work person, I just thought of another thing. They might be the person at work who flat out stole your idea and passed it off as their own and felt no shame for it. I know I'm bouncing around, but I just thought of that. They may be the person in life now. They may be the person you knew who stole your person, your partner. No guilt. They could have been a teacher who just seemed off or too on. Full of himself all the time. You can smell it, but full of himself isn't narcissistic personality disorder. There are people that are just full of themselves. But think of relatives, friends. It could be someone who seems to have it all together, down to the last detail of a perfect home and a perfect career, but what does their personal life look like? These people, these narcissists move through an entire life, a whole life. We just see this side of them because we experience them from a romantic entanglement. And thereby, I think we do get the worst. Although, like I said before, they can mess up a business partner pretty badly. With the level of honor and integrity we know they don't carry. Can you imagine, and some of you may have been in business with your narcissist, but can you imagine being the business partner of the person? I think of, let me just think of my narcissist, and I say mine because to differentiate from yours, but I just think of his level of integrity. I wouldn't go in on a pack of toothpicks with him, let alone open a business. So you think about their honor. You think about how they acted with you. These are ways they act in life. If you lie, you lie. If you cheat, you cheat. If you are somebody who cuts corners, you do that. If you're duplicitous, you're duplicitous. They're not going to suddenly be honorable in business. So they can definitely hurt a business partner, and for life, can't they? They can mess up a friend pretty badly too. In so many ways. And just because they feel like it. The list is endless. My point is going to be any of the qualities that I just mentioned that are disgusting, the disgusting ones especially, and maybe yours is even magnanimous and charming and brilliant and successful. Like Betty Broderick's husband in Dirty John. Right? He was a lawyer and a doctor. Handsome. Family man. She seemed, wow, I got the perfect guy. Okay? So they may be brilliant, all of that. But when they have that disgusting side, that there are things in public that they do if you pay attention. I just listed a handful. There are many little signs and things that they do that are in the deplorable category. Now, if there is one that's obvious, like a covert, that kind of, that's our narcissist out there in the world. So we look at those exact people that I just described before with utter disdain, disgust. Yet how funny we don't look at our own that way. And they are that person. We revere our person. We love them. We don't see. We try and try again. We cry and cry again. We go in again with the same type of person we just described we all think is the jerk in the workplace. Let's just go with workplace for the metaphor of elsewhere in life, wherever that should be. Pardon me, right? A group you belong to, the market, regular person you bump in, whatever. But you know what I'm saying. Elsewhere in life, not romantically. usually, I can't stand the kind of person that I'm thinking of that is a narcissist. And I can't stand being in the company of that person. I used to be embarrassed for himself, not for me. No skin off my back. I didn't raise him. I'm not his mother. I'm not going to tell him how to behave. I wouldn't even go through would you stop it? I mean, he's not my husband. What do I care? He's being a fool. But if that were, say, the same exact gathering where he was being a fool and he wasn't my romantic partner, this is the part that started to really help me. It only took me 10 minutes to get here, I know. Is that I started to think of him as if I were a guest at the party observing him and I were there with my boyfriend and he were not my boyfriend. I was not romantically entangled with that person. What would my view be? And that's where my disgust for him started to creep in. And we need a little disgust to help us get through this. That's our narcissist out there in the world. That's how the world sees them. And we abhor the narcissist we think of in our life that we had now. Yet while they were with us, we loved them, and they're exactly the person that I just described. Why that completely arbitrary set of glasses we're using to see them with I don't know. I think that happens during the love bombing, and the rose-colored glasses go on, and they stay on for as long as you keep them on. And those they're on through the breakups, through the hoovering. You said yes, those rose-colored glasses are still on. I started to look at mine the way I thought the world would, and the way that I knew some people did. I had people in my life say, "Are you out of your mind?" Like the Dirty John lady. And it wasn't Dirty John, it was the other one I told you to watch. The guy who stole 70 million from women. Hell, I can't remember his name now. Okay? She was told right out by one of her friends, "Are you out of your mind with this guy?" I was told that. So I started to pay attention and look at him objectively the way I would have had I not been engulfed by the whole cycle. Here he thinks he's all that in a bucket of Kit Kats. Yet if I saw him out and observed from afar, I would think he was a joker, a blowhard, a loser, who I could smell what he was selling a mile away, I think now. And I started to learn, which is where I started to be able to put myself there and say, okay, look at this objectively. Because that's how he acts. And that's how many of them act. Now, yours might be quiet. So maybe that's not the exact action that you would find deplorable. But is his off-putting, quiet, anti-socialness, stay in the corner off night the thing that bothers you? That you wouldn't go for in a room full of people? Say it's the opposite of what I'm describing. But whatever it is that disgusts you now, whatever it is that you see now, think of, and you're still having trouble breaking away because you're still in the love bombing, push and pull trauma bond. Try to think of yourself in a room with your narcissist and you have zero romantic entanglement. And I'm not talking about looks. Nope. Not, well, he's just the most handsome thing and I just have never felt like this when I'm near somebody. No, that's not love. Okay? I'm talking about if your person is in a room and they are acting in any kind of way that you would detest in somebody else, realize that it turns out that is their truth. It's ugly, but now I just think I allowed myself, before I got to know him objectively, I allowed myself to trust not even knowing him. And I just believed that he was this person he was pretending to be. My God, if my eyes were open, really open, I would have, because I can't unsee it now. It's all I do see now. If this were a room full of people and it was a party and he were in it, I don't know, fast forward 10 years. I'm with my new person, he's with his new person. That would never happen. I know that. But this hypothetical example, to put me in his company again, I would look at him like, oh my God. Like here he's acting like he's the big deal, and I, with my people, would be like that poor guy. He thinks he has to act like that. If he just calmed down, he might have a better time. He might actually find that people might enjoy his company. But they'll never calm down. That's their disorder. That's how they are. But many times they are nice people. They're charming people. They're brilliant people. So be on the lookout and be aware who's around you. But the most important thing is to take that knowledge that you now have and not only be able to tell if there's a narcissist afoot. Try to think about if you're looking at your narcissist objectively. We can't stand the people in our lives that are like that, yet we give them a shot. It makes no sense. So picture them in a room without a romantic entanglement, and what would your thoughts be? It helped me.